Welcome back to Assembly Update. You can follow me on social media. On Facebook, you can find me at Angelo Santa Barbara. You can follow me on Twitter under ASM Santa Barbara, and also on Instagram under Assemblyman Santa Barbara. I have district offices in the city of Schenectady at 433 State Street, Schenectady, New York 12305. Phone number there 518-382-2941. In the city of Amsterdam 1170 Riverfront Center, Amsterdam, New York 12010. I can be reached by phone there at 518-843-0227, and as always by email at santabarbara@assembly.state.ny.us. Welcome back to Assembly Update. We have a great guest lined up for the second half of the show, and it's Steve Szalowski, and he's part of what's called Spectrum Life Strategies. We're going to hear a little more about that, but we're going to talk in particular about something called Camp Spectacular. And this is something that I recently had some time to talk to Steve about. Steve, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you here because from what I've heard about Camp Spectacular, it's just a wonderful way of learning and engaging children that are on the spectrum. You're supported by the Autism Society of America and also the Christopher Daly Foundation.
Right.
So this is your 9th running of Camp Spectacular. And before I say any more about it, tell us what Camp Spectacular is all about and some of the things that you're able to do that other organizations are really not as successful.
Well, Camp Spectacular is a kind of like a passion of mine for lots of different reasons. One of the biggest reasons is it started because parents wanted it to start. Okay, back in 2003, I wrote a proposal for the Center for Disability Services, who I worked for at that time, to do it. And it had gone through lots of different types of transformations. Well, a pair of parents came to me and said, we would really like to have a camp for our children to kind of learn social collaborative skills. Not learning social skills, but social collaborative skills, working with other people, understanding how to work with people, tolerate people, do things with people in a manner that is not based on just having fun, but learning things. And because part of Spectacular is to teach the world of the children and adolescents and some of the adults that I work with, the idea about tolerating the uncomfortable, dealing with situations that don't go the way you want them to. So when these two parents came to me, it was sort of like, let's see how it goes in 2007. Well, we had 24 kids, so they were all boys, the first time. We are now at 3 sessions of over 50 people a week, and it's co-ed. So the growth of it started from the principle of 24 boys and what we're going to do about a camp, putting activities in place, to now it includes leadership workshops. I have counselors in training that are 16, 17 years old, that are high school students, that were former campers, and they learned how to do things the Camp Spectacular way. I've got junior counselors, paid staff, who are people that are going to college, who identify themselves as having Asperger's, okay? And we don't talk about the spectrum a whole heck of a lot because we don't have to. I don't want anybody to ever talk about the spectrum as a disorder or a disability. I talk about it as a developmental difference. We're all developmentally different. You, me, everybody. Okay? We all have developmental strengths. We all have developmental obstacles. There are things my wife says about my developmental obstacles that'll fill a page. Okay? But what we do with our strengths defines how far we get in life. How we conquer our obstacles defines how we go further. I mean, that's the point of Spectacular.
And from what I understand, your campus has been, you've been saying it's been growing. As you said, it's been growing. There's really no room to take any more people on because it's always full, right?
Right. Well, the unfortunate part of what happens is it's a word of mouth camp. I mean, there is advertising, but through groups, through the different types of camp outlets in the Times Union and other things like that, or you go to some of the presentations out there for camp ownership, what are the different, where you could find out about camps and stuff like that. But vast majority of people that come to camp have found out through other people that have went to camp, or people that have come into my office, or from educators. I have the most educated staff. I have Most of my staff have master's degrees. The other part of it have bachelor's degrees or near bachelor's degrees. And it's an amazing, coming together of people with experiences, but have just as much passion about this as I do. Yeah. They're living for the fact that on Monday, this coming Monday, okay, we're going to have, close to 60 people of staff and campers all in one place, all with one goal. We're going to learn a lot about each other. I also, in your resume, I saw that you really, the Center for Disability Services was part of this path to Camp Spectacular. And Center for Disability Services is coordinates this this camp. I mean, Clover Patch Camp is the site that it's done, and Camp Spectacular is a subset of Clover Patch Camp. Okay. I worked for 12 years for the Center for Disability Services. I was a preschool social worker, and I also did outclient mental health. It was a great place to work because it taught me how to work with teams of speech therapists, teachers, physical therapists, occupational therapists who taught me about sensory integration. It was an amazing journey, and I was trained in ABA. I was trained in a lot of different types of skill sets that I would never have had I not worked there.
It's having names like that, and the Autism Society Capital Region, Christopher Daly Foundation, shows that this is something that people think it's part of the community. It's something we need more of, actually. So I know you said you don't advertise a lot, but do you see a need for more of this in other communities as well?
Well, the reason that Camp Spectacular is is kind of special to me is because it's a part of this community. It's a day camp. Now, what's interesting about a camp is that it actually has some far-reaching thing. We have a person that comes from England every year to come to Camp Spectacular because his father, comes in from England every year to work a local business in August, and he coordinates part of his schedule to have his son come here from England to be part of Camp Spectacular, and he's been part of camp for 5 years. Okay, so when you look at what we've done, we have a far-reaching effect of people that vacation with their relatives and go to camp, but the vast majority of who comes to camp are from the Capital Region, from the Saratoga region, down to the southern parts of Albany County, to the eastern parts of Rensselaer County, to the western parts of Schenectady County. It is a significantly big part of the Capital Region that not a whole lot of people know about unless you walk in these kind of circles. Yeah. But I'm very fortunate, again, to work with the most fantastic families and children and adolescents and adults who kind of inspire me about the fact of how programs need to be happening, to be out-of-the-box type of programs. Okay, there are people that are running camps every day. The robotics camps that run out of RPI. They're not targeted at anybody, but they're a great place to kind of get the mind working. I love to see more broad-based types of camp programs that are reaching into the children's imagination and not just kind of saying, just go to camp.
Now, this camp is something that you said it's word of mouth. I know people watching the show are going to say, hey, this sounds great. How do they get involved? How would they go about taking a look at the camp or maybe touring it?
The people that they want to start out with is Laura Taylor.
Yep.
Okay, and she is at Camp Spectacular, for the next 3 weeks. But her main job is working for Clover Patch Camp. And if you Google Clover Patch Camp,
yep,
okay, or you Google Camp Spectacular, she will come up on that list. And you contact her. She's very busy right now. The camp is full for the next 3 weeks. So unfortunately, for this year, that's not a possibility. But for next year, I always recommend people start looking at sending in their applications sometime around February.
And you do camp for 3rd grade to 12th grade, it says here. And also, you don't take volunteers, but you are looking for presenters.
Well, we do presenters. The volunteers that come in, next week I've got a person that's coming in and talking about career counseling to the high school students.
Okay.
I've also got a nutritionist coming in talking about the different things that go along with quality nutrition. I've got a person that's coming in talking about organizational structure from a middle school perspective, from a high school perspective, and post-high school, when the land without bells, that I call it. You know, after that high school experience ends, I want the best and the brightest kids that I work with, of which they are all that, okay, to organize and do time management. And this woman that's going to be coming in is going to be talking about how do you organize yourself so that you can not only have time but space in your room, in your living area, whether you're at home or whether you're at college, you know, you're going to work. How do you manage your time?
And I know, Steve, I know you gave us some pictures to sort of show firsthand what happens at the camp. We're going to just scroll through them. If you could just describe, just to get a firsthand look here. I see I see a lot of kids here. Maybe you could just take us through some of these photos.
That was a couple years ago. That's a group picture at the below of all the kids that are at camp. Believe it or not, it's even larger than that now. At the end of every day, on the left side is the campfire. The campfire is a signature thing for me because what it does is that we sit around a campfire, okay, around fire, okay, and we understand rules and expectations about what fire represents. It represents safety, but it represents comfort and gathering around something for storytelling. So every day, on Monday through Thursday, we do a campfire activity where you tell me in a minute or less who's the most inspiring person you've ever met. What character would you like to be in history, television, or anywhere? Okay, if you could invent anything, what would you invent? The answers I get are amazing. Okay, I had one kid get into an argument about Tesla and Edison that was just like they were back and forth across the campfire, and you learn how to deal with public speaking in a small amount. Joke day is always an amazing thing because you never know what you're going to get. But it's something that you know, if you want to come out for a day, Assemblyman, I would live to have you come out just to kind of like experience the passion that comes along with these kids. It's a wonderful place where you feel like, oh my gosh, the world is the world's okay.
And it sounds like you know, it's just an engaging activities like you just described. I think are where kids are really getting the most learning, but they're also having fun. They're also engaging their colleagues, their peers, their friends, and it sounds like definitely sounds like I need to take a trip out there and visit and see some of these things firsthand. I know the pictures are great, but there's nothing like being there.
Yeah, it's all outside. It is there's no electronics, and we deal with the uncomfortable. We do lots of different things. We don't necessarily do gym activities, but we do a lot of different types of activities that are movement-oriented, which, if you don't feel comfortable in your own skin about movement, to work on that is always a good skill.
And I hope that people watching inquire about Camp Spectacular. It sounds like a fantastic place to spend some time. I want to thank you for being on the show, and I look forward to visiting one day and learning more about this. And if you would like to know more, you can find them online on the website as well. Camp Spectacular is the name. I encourage you to do more research on it. Join us again here on Assembly Update. We'll talk more about great organizations doing great things like Camp Spectacular.